Okay, I'm going to call to order the meeting of the mayor and council for Monday, November 7th, 2016. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Present are Mayor Marion Galbraith, Deputy Mayor Keith Hedrick, Councilors Andrew Ovento, Jill Rusk, Stephen Sheffield, Conrad Heed, Lawrence Garish, Finance Director Ron Newhouse, Clerk Deborah Patrick.
Thank you. Please stand to salute the flag. Would you lead us off, Jeffrey, in the salute?
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules and move Resolution R-16-11-108 to follow the salute to the flag.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining. Okay, Councilor Ilvento.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution R-16-11-108. Therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and council approve the appointment of Jeffrey Earhart as a firefighter EMT in the City of Groton Fire Department, effective November 8th, 2016. I so move.
Second. Chief?
Thank you. Just need to recognize a few people that are here. Chief Tony Saccone is Chief Saccone is here from Gales Ferry, and Chief Joe Winsky is here from Paquonic Bridge, as well as his deputy and other officers from the different departments. We have folks here from the sub-aides from Paquonic Bridge, from West Hartford. Our own folks are here. It's a pretty big night. It's a big night for us. It's a big night for Jeff. I told the council when we did the committee of the whole, the first time I met Jeff was about 12 years ago, and he was applying for a position with the town of Ledyard, and I was sitting on the board with our retired chief, Sean McGuckin, and the late Eddie Amatrudo. And Jeff did very well, but Jeff didn't have all the technical stuff he needed. But we all got together afterwards, and I told Jeff that night that he had the right stuff, and that eventually he was going to be a chief. There was no doubt in my mind. Community service ran in his family, and that's where he was going to end up. And he serves now as a chief and training officer with Gales Ferry. For the folks that weren't here when we first got together, Jeff's certified firefighter 1, firefighter 2, EMT, rescue corps. He's certified as a fire marshal. He's a fire instructor 1, a fire officer 1, a fire officer 2. He's a hazardous materials technician. He's certified as a pump operator. He's certified as an aerial operator. He's certified as a Scott air pack technician. He's had all of his NIMS training and some. He has gone so far, because it's, again, public safety. He is a passenger seat technician. He's an American Heart Association CPR instructor. He's received numerous awards, particularly involved in the community of Gales Ferry and with the Gales Ferry Fire Company. I think he's going to be a great fit. I think he's very familiar with the community already. He's pretty familiar with the department as well. So, Mayor, it's my honor to recommend that we get this guy on board and get him badged up as soon as we can.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions for the chief? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining. Clerk Deb Patrick, would you please administer the oath?
Jeff, would you guys come up? This is camera time. So Jeff, come on up here.
You're going to face the camera, please. It's all about you. And you're going to raise your right hand. I will read the oath, and I'm going to ask you to say your name. I'll read the oath, and then, so please say your name.
Jeffrey Earhart.
You have been duly appointed as a firefighter EMT in the City of Groton Fire Department. You solemnly swear and affirm that you will faithfully discharge your duties according to the rules, regulations of the Fire Department, State of Connecticut law, the City of Groton Charter and ordinances, and resolutions of the City of Groton. You will serve in that position to the very best of your ability, so help you God.
Thank you.
Congratulations and welcome.
Firefighter Earhart, would you like to address the council? That's you.
Again, like we spoke in the last meeting, I'm very grateful for at least having the opportunity to be with you guys. And it's going to be a wonderful career, and I'll serve you very well. And again, thank you, and thank you for everybody that came out. The faces that you see behind me are the faces that have showed me forward and allowed me to get to this place here, and probably will continue to help me along the way. So I'm very grateful for their support and your support. So thank you again.
Thank you very much, and welcome to the city. We're going to come out after we do our business, because we have a very short meeting. So we'll see you out there. Okay, recognitions, awards, and memorials.
I wanted to congratulate Thames River Innovation Place for being awarded a $50,000 grant to develop businesses along the Thames River, so congratulations to
That's
them.
great. And you may remember that we have contributed $5,000 toward their planning effort.
Yep.
And so they have, I believe they have now a total of $80,000, and the work has begun, and Barbara Goodrich is representing us with that committee. Thank you very much. Receipt of citizens' petitions and comments. Seeing none, we'll skip past response to citizens' petitions and comments and go to approval of minutes. May we have a motion to approve the minutes of the October 17, 2016 Mayor and Council meeting?
Second.
Are there any additions or corrections? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining. May we have a motion to approve the minutes of the October 24th, 2016 Committee of the Whole?
Second.
Are there any additions or corrections? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining. May we have a motion to approve the minutes of the October 31st, 2016 Special Mayor and Council meeting?
So moved.
And we do have a correction. The number of the resolution was incorrect. Deb, would you remind us of the right number?
The correct number should be R-16-10-107.
Thank you very much. So those will be corrected. Are there any additional addition? Are there any more additions or corrections? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining. Councilor Ilvento. Communications and reports.
Oh, I was like, I just read that. Resolution. That threw me up. I have nothing, thank you.
Councilor Rusk.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I attended the Youth Advisory Committee on Thursday, November 3rd. I highly recommend that all middle school parents and kids be on the lookout for Friday night outs that are coming up in January, February, and March, and a babysitting class that will be coming out in February. So the Friday night outs are really fun.
They were
So
the
you should
kids had a
come.
great time last year. There was a lot of positive feedback about it.
Good.
Thank you very much. Councilor Sheffield.
Going back a little bit, October 18th, attended the citywide pizza party at the here at City Hall with the City of Groton employees, and that was a very good event. Pizza was very good from Bridge Market.
Yep.
So, yeah, very good event. And October 20th, the Dr. Martin Luther King dinner, which was again another great event with such inspiring students. They keep getting more inspirational each year. It was a great event 5 magnificent scholars, and the best of luck with them in the future. And that's all.
Okay, thank you very much. Councilor Heed?
Yes, on the 18th, I actually got out of work early enough to go to the farmer's market where I got a flu shot.
All-inclusive
It was
farmers market.
spectacular. Great little market for sure. And then on the 20th, I also attended the MLK dinner, which was, as you said, every year it gets better.
Because
Very inspiring, always. Thank you very much. Councilor Garish?
I also got a flu shot. No other report.
Okay, thank you very much. Deputy Mayor Hedrick?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. On the 18th, I also attended the pizza party for the employees, and on the 20th, I also attended the Dr. Martin Luther King scholarship dinner. And like we've all said, I mean, it's just so inspirational and moving to hear the stories and see the winners. So that's absolutely wonderful. And then on the 28th, I attended the Trick or Trunk down at Eastern Point, which is always a blast because the kids have just so much fun. It's an event just for them, and now it was windy. We had 28-mile-an-hour winds. It was windy and cool.
Cold.
But the kids love going trunk to trunk. So then they all came up to my house.
To get out of the cold.
Exactly. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I had the easiest job of that night because you guys judged and all I had to do was announce it. That's pretty nice because it's always hard to choose who's going to win. So thank you very much. City Clerk Deb Patrick.
Just that I also attended the Martin Luther King Scholarship Dinner, and as everyone else said, wonderful event, and the recipients are amazing young people.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Finance Director Ron Uhas. Okay, I'm going to use my report to focus on the highway arbitration. So you should have received in your packets a copy of the letter that we received as a result of the highway arbitration, and also the dissenting opinion of Town Councilor Dean Antipas. So I have drafted a response here, and the response has essentially 4 components to it. First, because the highway arbitration decision said that we should be getting the money that was approved and what was actually spent from that budget. So we have requested a meeting because we'd like to do this as quickly as possible for the week of November 14th to go over those figures. We are also proposing that same resolution be applied to the 2017 budget. During the discussion of the 2017 budget, you may remember that there were town council members who said because there was nothing that from the arbitration yet, they felt that they had to use that same equation. If you read on page 2 of the letter, it says that although it may be nice to find an equation or a formula, it has to be based on actual costs. So we are proposing that same finding be put with or used for the 2017 budget, and that the budget as submitted be approved. We also asked that we work with DOT to put together an RFP. And I suggest working with DOT because they have the technical advice that they could give us. They would also be willing to review with us any bids that came in, but to be able to put together an RFP so that we can get a consultant to come in and do what the report suggests or the final result suggests, and that is to actually look at where the differences are, either in our practices, in our operations, or in our costs, so that we can see that and to begin to establish a valid process for moving forward. And we're suggesting that we share that cost, that the town and city share that cost, and that both the city and the town, the analysis be done with both the city and the town so that we can actually see where those differences are. And then finally, because the budget for 2018, we're going to be starting that budget within the next month, we suggested that we meet with that committee, put together the committee of the 3 of us and their town council, so that we can begin to establish some guidelines if we can find common ground. So that's the gist of the 4 things that we're asking, and I wanted to know if that was okay with you, if that's where you'd like to go with this.
Yep.
Councilor Sheffield?
Now, with this report from Connecticut, what is the cost per side as far as having this surveyed?
We won't know yet. That's what a request for proposal will tell you. So we will draw up a scope of services with them. What would this look like? How would it, how would it work? What would we want somebody to come in and do? And then people who respond to that RFP would tell us the prices that they would suggest. So we don't know that yet. But the suggestion in the letter, as you read, was that rather than spend the money on litigation, that we instead spend the money on getting somebody to come in and do that analysis with us. So I can't tell you that cost right now. Yes, Councilor Linto.
I know this is a separate issue, but kind of tied together. Do we know what the process will be? Because we still need to go forward with the arbitration for this budget.
Well, that's why I'm suggesting that instead of doing that, instead of going forward with that they apply the finding from the 2016 arbitration to the 2017 budget.
Okay.
Now, I don't know whether we're going to get a pushback on that, but that's what we're suggesting is that same rationale be applied for.
And save everyone the time.
Yes, and then put our resources instead into getting this analysis done.
Yep.
Yes.
And that is what it says here. It talks about parties must determine the root cause of the difference between the city and town costs. This would include an analysis of their respective standards of maintenance as well as their respective cost structures. So we'll be looking at both sides to see where the efficiencies are, where can efficiencies be gained, and what can we do as a group to move forward.
Yep. Yes, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. And just real quick, just so everyone is aware again, I know we haven't talked about this in a little bit, but it's not like this money is suddenly going to have to come out of nowhere in the town. Both the money from this one that we've won and this past year's is in an account because it can't be, until it went through this process, it couldn't be repurposed. So it's not like it's been repurposed and now they have to pull it back. Just so everyone is aware of what is going on. Because
yes, that money was held in a contingency, and I am assuming that they held on to it after the end of the June 30th of 2016. I think it's also important to point out that when we built this year's budget, assuming that we were going to get back at least half of the money, and that money was going to help fund us, and the other money we took out of our general fund, and so we need to put money back into our general fund. So that's the only reason we were able to not have a budget increase this year.
Yep.
Is because there's this assumption that okay, so now we can refund the money, but we didn't double tax this year, and instead assumed that we were going to get money back. So so there isn't money just to return to people. We budgeted on the basis of getting money back. So I just wanted to remind people of that. Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so how quickly, again, depending on the response from this letter that you sent?
I haven't sent it yet.
Oh, you haven't
I
sent it?
wanted
Okay.
your feedback.
Okay. I figure, what's the timetable, how we want to proceed for 2017 highway money before we act one way or the other, whether we have to act or do we need to act again? I guess following up with Councilor.
Well, that's going to depend a lot on their answer.
Okay.
And so we'll see what they say, and then we'll have to, converse again. But it's our hope to try to avoid another costly arbitration and instead, apply what we learned from 2016, and let's get something done for the future. Yes.
Just as a point of reference, how much did the arbitration cost us?
I don't know off the top of my head. I can get you that figure for next week if you, the next meeting, if you, I can do that. But I'm sorry, I don't know off the top of my head. we knew at one time, up to a certain point, what it had cost, because that was a question that came up as an FOI. Do you know, Ron?
I don't remember offhand with everything, because everything kind of came in piecemeal then.
So we certainly have that amount. I just don't remember what it is. I'm writing myself a note to make sure I get you that. Yes, Councilor Garish.
I think we should be prepared if we have a meeting, as you suggested. I don't see that they're going to just say, okay, let's do it the way the ruling came down. After reading Antipas' summary of his opinion, I would be very surprised if they don't want to come out with a lot of changes here in the city. The total management of the highway department. So I just think we should be prepared for that. I don't see it going all that easy.
I think there's a very good possibility you're right, but I think that we start with the high ground and
But
we.
only, be prepared
Yep.
for challenges.
Yep.
Well,
Yes.
this arbitration is over, right? We have not said that we're going to go to arbitration again. So in theory, when the town discusses this, they should be able to have a frank and open discussion and not go into executive session so that everybody can hear what the discussion is, so that all the town residents can hear it instead of going into executive session using the exemption to go into executive session, because we have not said we're going to arbitration.
Correct. In fact, we're trying to avoid that entirely.
Right.
So yes,
However-
you're absolutely right. We are not.
However, should we need to go to arbitration, we're prepared to do that.
Well, I don't even want to say that at this time. You may recall that that last time the council used us talking about arbitration as an excuse to do their deliberations in executive session. So I would like to take the higher ground and
Right.
say that we are trying to avoid arbitration.
Well, that being said, yes, we want to try to avoid it, but if they don't treat us fairly, or what we think is fair, then that's our,
Okay, I want us to avoid that discussion until we have a response, because last time, when we said we reserve the right to go to arbitration, they used that as an excuse to go into executive session. So although the charter gives us some specifics for remedies, I think what we're trying to do is to avoid that.
so if they turn us down for the money that was cut in this budget that we're in right now
Then we would have to have a discussion.
about arbitration.
Okay.
About actions going forward.
I'm trying to avoid us saying that that we want to pull an arbitration card, so that we don't give them an excuse to go into executive session to discuss a litigation that does not exist.
Right.
I realize that, but what I'm saying is, it's the only alternative we have if they don't.
Well, actually, that's not true, because the arbitration gives us another alternative, and that is to try to get an analysis done. So they do give us another alternative before we would do what's in the charter. Councilor Ilvento.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a point, I think at least since I've been on the council, we've always tried to do things by working out things together. In some years it's worked. I remember a year we didn't have an issue. Maybe it was just 1 year, but I remember a year where we didn't have an issue. But whenever there's been an issue, we never wanted to go to the next step unless we had to. We always have tried to have discussions. We've had joint meetings with the councils and various other kind of meetings that we had. We had one last year, and if I remember, what came out of the one last year was they said that they didn't want to make a decision on this year's budget, or the current budget, based on the fact that we didn't have any information back on 2016. Now we have that information back. And I can see that. If you're looking at it from both standpoints, you're not going to make a decision that's going to hurt yourself without all the information. Now we have all the information, So it seems appropriate that they would stick by what they said or what was discussed in that meeting. Now, I know that was just a meeting. It wasn't anything binding, but that's there. Also came out of the meeting, I asked the question, are they prepared to take anything over? And at that time, they were not. So you can't feasibly just say, okay, well, we're not going to ask for any more money, or you're not going to, unless there's a plan. There's never been a plan for anything. And I think it's time, specifically now that we've done this again and it's come out in our favor, that we need to sit down and work this out. And I agree with what you're saying. We'll start there and see how the discussion goes. And if it doesn't work out, then you go to the next level. But I think we start
What
with.
is the next level?
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Well, the commissioner suggests, and the result suggests that we should do an analysis.
Yeah.
That prior to any kind of arbitration again, that we should do this analysis. So that would be the next step.
Right, and that's what I'm saying.
Right.
You start with the conversation. If the conversation doesn't go anywhere, then you explore what needs to happen next. And it's the analysis. If that's what needs to happen next, based on the recommendations, we do that. And hopefully we don't have to go through a big messy process again.
So assuming that all of that happens, step 1, step 2, and whatever other steps you put in, and nothing works, what is the final analysis?
Well, we don't know until we try. I
No,
mean,
if they turn us down, what is our final
So we could also do this for ourselves. If they do not want to participate in an RFP process and an analysis, we could have someone come in and look at our structures. So I think that there are steps that we can take.
I'm sure there are, but if all of those steps don't work, let's say that the town says, we're not going to give you anything. We're going to give you 0. Then what do we do?
At that time.
So I think we addressed that at that time.
Right.
Well, I know you're dancing all around arbitration, but in my opinion, as a final step, if we had to, that's the final step.
Right, but I don't think we want to pull that now, because that will give them an excuse to go into executive session
Well,
instead of.
You don't want to say that word, yeah.
You don't want to lead with that. It starts out as being
I
negative.
didn't say we're going to lead with
No, I know
I
you
know.
didn't.
But
So don't you say that we don't want to lead with that, because I know that.
But the point is,
I know that, Keith.
we want them to have an open discussion in a meeting.
I think that's wonderful. And my question was, assuming that they don't go along with any of our requests, and let's say they say, we're not going to give you anything. What do we, turn around and go home?
We address it at that time. We look at our options and we address those options at that time.
And those options might be what?
Doing an analysis would be an option.
Gee, why didn't we do that last time?
Well, actually, you may remember we asked them to do an analysis and they didn't respond.
Oh, so we had to go to arbitration.
Well, this time we have an arbitrator suggesting it.
Okay, I'm not gonna belabor it anymore. You haven't changed my opinion, so. And I know what, you don't wanna say the word arbitration. You don't wanna give them the idea that we might go to arbitration. I understand what you're saying. And I think you understand what I'm saying.
Right, I just want to make first I want to make an honest effort to try to work this out. So that's what this letter is about, and that's what we're trying to do.
I hope it works.
So I don't actually need the number for my own information to go backwards for a moment. I thought it would add to this if you say it costs $64,000, it costs $120,000, whatever it costs for arbitration. If you put it in there, then there's an assumption that rather than going into arbitration, this money could be used.
I wouldn't know what they spent though.
No, I know, but at
So-
least on our side. Because I would hope it's cheaper.
And we don't know. We don't know. Any other feedback on the letter? Okay, then unless there's objection, we'll send the letter.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, we move on to resolutions, and Counselor Rusk.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution R-16-11-109. Therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and council approve the reappointment of Mark Whalem, 20 Hillside Avenue, Groton, Connecticut, as a regular member of the Board of Ethics, term to expire on February 1st, 2020. I so move.
Second.
Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining. Deputy Mayor Hedrick.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Resolution R-16-11-110. Therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council approve the appointment of Lori Nealon Helm, 103 Broad Street, Groton, Connecticut, as a regular member of the Board of Ethics, term to expire on February 1st, 2020. I so move.
Second.
Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining. We have no other business.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.